3 minutes on Greek philosophy. Today we'll talk about Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. SPA. SPA. That's how I remember the sequence. And now you won't forget. Socrates was the first one, Plato the second one, he was his disciple, and Aristotle was Plato's disciple. They lived between 459 BC to 322 BC, roughly around 150-160 years, and they formed the bedrock of Greek philosophy. And you can stretch and say the Western civilization in a lot of ways. So what did they really talk about? Let's start with Socrates. Socrates never actually wrote anything down. He talked about it. He used a method of dialogue and inquiry. This is called the Socratic thought or Socratic dialogue or Socratic process, where we talk about inquiring things and examining them through dialogue. And virtue was knowledge for him. Socrates, this is what he stood for. Then came Plato. And Plato, what he did was he was the first one to actually write down systematically what philosophy meant or what he discovered. And one of the earliest books that he wrote was something called The Republic. It talks about societies, how societies should be governed, how they should behave, responsibilities of people, etc., etc. He also talked about something called theory of forms. Now, the forms aspect is he divided the whole world into ideals and reality and created a clear barrier between the two. So he is known as the idealist, right? So remember, Socrates is for questioning, Plato is for idealist. And then the third person, Aristotle, who was Plato's disciple, he came in and he talked about being pragmatic. So he was very practical. He believed in experiments and empirical evidence and things of that nature. It's a little bit of a scientific thought that got into the philosophical inquiry. And Aristotle talked about something, or most famous of his works is something called golden mean. Golden mean is all about the fact that virtue lies between two extremes. So courage, for example, lies between the extremes of recklessness on one side and complete cowardice on the other side. So this was his way of explaining pragmatically what being virtuous means, which was slightly different from the way Plato talked about complete idealism versus complete realism. So that's the 3 minutes on our three great Greek philosophers. I'll see you with some details next time about some of these ideas.